Hello friends. So in our previous session, we have seen the structure. We have talked about the structure of kidney. We have talked mainly about the VS of kidney, how the different part of kidney are arranged, the cortex, medulla, medullary pyramids, renal pelvis, hilum, all those things we have talked about. But as I said in earlier lecture that nephron, kidney, a single kidney has around 1 million nephron. So nephron is the fundamental unit of the kidney. We say kidney are the filtering organ of the body. So what is a filtering of organ, but the filtration process is carried out by the nephron. So today we are going to talk about nephron in detail. So let's start. First of all, you see the diagram. So what are the objectives of today's lecture is that describe the parts of an nephron and explain the histology of an nephron and collecting duct. So after this lecture or after studying this topic, you must be able to answer these questions, which are the parts of nephron and explain the histology of a nephron and collecting duct. So if you see the kidney here, what is so if you see here, kidney is shown here, cortex and medulla, papillae, all those parts of the kidney that we are talking about. And single nephron, schematic diagram, for example, a single nephron like is pulled out. And then this single nephron is magnified over here. So if you see this diagram, what you are seeing is a very simple diagram. In examination, we don't draw such a simple diagram. We will draw diagram with the of a juxtamedullary nephron with its blood capillaries, with its artery and vein. Okay, so that diagram will come later. But this is also simple diagram. Uh, Here only the nephron is shown. There is no any blood capillary along with that is shown here. You can see a nephron has this many portion. The initial portion, cup-like portion is called the renal corpuscle. This portion is called this cup-like portion is called the renal corpuscle, and the remaining is the entire tubular portion. So this cup-like structure is called the renal corpuscle. What is called that the blood capillary, the branch of renal artery that is called the afferent arteriole. Yeah, if you see any medical book, there are different name of this. Each and every blood vessel is given, but it's not part of our talk, so that's why I'm not going that detail. But the branch from the renal artery ultimately in the form of afferent arteriole enters within this cup-like space. It ramifies within this cup-like space. Ramify means forms a network. It's tuft of capillary. एक गुच्छा सा बना देता है. It's like a tuft of capillaries over here. It enters and comes out. When it enters, at entry point, it is called the afferent arteriole. At exit point, it is called efferent arteriole. And the afferent arteriole has diameter broader, and this is narrower than the efferent arteriole is the narrower than the afferent arteriole. Now, so this tuft of capillary, the tuft of capillary is called the glomerulus. The tuft of capillary, only the blood capillary when we talk about is called the glomerulus. The network of capillary within this capsular space is called the glomerulus, and that capsular part, the capsular part is called the glomerular capsule or Bowman capsule. Another name is Bowman capsule. So the capsular part is Bowman capsule, the capillary part is glomerulus. Or in other words, it's a glomerular capsule, and these blood vessels within that capsule is the glomerulus. So both together is called the renal corpuscle. Both together, that means capsular part as well as the blood vessels inside. Blood capillary, not vessel, blood capillary inside is called the renal corpuscle. Now, if you see here, then these renal capsule, so this is called the renal corpuscle. Then this renal corpuscle remain continuous. The lumen, actually, it has got this is renal capsule. Bowman capsule has got two portions, inner layer and outer layer, that we will talk later on. Inner layer and outer layer. Actually, the inner layer is in continuation with this the tuft of capillary, and outer layer is and there is outer layer. And this is actually between these two layers of space, and that is called the tubular space. And this tubular space is actually continue with this in this pipeline structure. So it's a lumen hai, that is continue with the lumen of this tubular portion also. Okay, that we will talk about later on. Now you see here the different part. Earlier, as then comes the tubular like portion. So this tubular early part of this tube is called proximal. Proximal is means near to, earlier, near, and distal means away. So proximal convoluted tubule. Since it's proximal to these corpuscles, it is called proximal tubule. Convoluted because it has so many turnings. So that's why it's convoluted. Convoluted tubule, proximal convoluted tubule. Then it dips into the medulla part that we'll talk about. Then this is called loop. This U-shaped structure, U-shaped tube is called the loop of Henle. Proximal convoluted, then it makes the U-turn, and this U-turn is called the loop of Henle. And since it is going deep, going down, this part of the loop of Henle is called the descending limb of loop of Henle. And again, it takes U-turn and comes again on the upper side. So that is called the, as it is going up, it is called the ascending loop of Henle. And then it remains again convoluted, and that portion is called the distal convoluted tubule. There are two kinds of nephron. One are called the cortical nephron, and other are called the juxtamedullary nephron. There are two kinds of nephron, cortical nephron and juxtamedullary nephron. Juxta means near to, medulla. Since they are medulla, they are deep inside, most of the part, the loop of Henle is very long. And since it's very long and it's deep inside the medulla, it is called juxtamedullary nephron. So whether they are any kind, these two portions always, whether it's a cortical nephron or juxtamedullary nephron, these portions are always in the cortex. Even in juxtamedullary nephron, this renal corpuscle, proximal tubule, and distal tubule are always in the, you find on the cortex part. Okay, so now we will go in detail with slide wise, with description wise, so it will be easier for you also. Here in this diagram, you can see here in this diagram. Okay. So if you see here in this diagram, there are two. This is one diagram. This is the diagram of the juxtamedullary nephron. Juxtamedullary nephron. Let's talk in this diagram. Let me give some more clear. So you can see here, one nephron is shown here. You can see here, somewhere here, this nephron, the cortical part. So here, what is actually modified version of this diagram? You see here, there are two marking areas there. This much portion is actually your cortex. This much portion is cortex. And this much portion, starting from here, is the medulla. So here onward, it is medulla. So you can see, even in a part of nephron, some part of nephron resides in the cortex, and some of the part reside in the medulla. It is the part of the loop of Henle that reside in the medulla. And most of the part of the nephron remain outside the, what do you call? Cortex. So you see here, what will be the journey? First of all, you need to understand what will be the journey if fluid passing through the different part. So first of all, the blood to be filtrated enters into this Bowman capsule. Okay, So from here, the things getting filtered. What is urine ultimately? It's the things that are not required by our body. That will be the urine. But initially, everything, most of the things will get filtered out. Only the blood cells will not comes out. But our body cannot afford to lose each and every content of the blood plasma. So what happens? Initially, everything is filtered out. But then in different parts of nephron, these things are reabsorbed back. So what will be the journey of fluid passing through the nephron? So first of all, fluid enters here. The thing that can get filtrate enters in this lumen, that is between the two, or you call it capsular space. From capsular space, it will enter into proximal convoluted tubule. You can see here. So it will be enter into capsular. Let me change the color. So it will enter into this in yellow lining. This proximal convoluted tubule, it will enter. Then in proximal convoluted tubule, it's also proximal convoluted tubule. Then it enters into the structure called loop of Henle. Then fluid will pass here. Then again this U-shaped structure. Then the fluid filtrate. Then will be labeled as tubular fluid. Tubular fluid then comes here. This is called this right now is moving into descending. Sorry, ascending leap of Henle. Ascending मतलब ऊपर उठना, descending मतलब नीचे जाना. Ascending limb of loop of Henle. Then it will come out and then it will be in the cortical part, then it is in the what you call distal convoluted tubule. Abhi kahan pe distal convoluted tubule pe ultimately it is passed on to the structure called the bigger vessels are called the distal. These are called the collecting duct. You can see the label collecting duct. And collecting duct, now collecting duct, you have many collecting duct merges with one another. Many distal tubule have the common collecting duct. You can say in other words, many distal collecting duct unite to form many distal convoluted tubule, DCT, distal convoluted tubule unite to form collecting duct. So you can have many distal, each nephron has its own distal convoluted tubule. However, the number of collecting duct will be the fewer. Then collecting duct, many collecting duct merge with one another and form the papillary duct. Ultimately, papillary duct open into the renal papilla is the renal into the renal papilla, and then in turns it enters into fluid, enters into minor calyx, and then it will carry the minor calyx to major calyx, then to the renal pelvis, and then we will label it as a urine. So this is the path of a filtrate. Okay, this is the part of the tubular fluid. Ultimately, it's journey to be formed as a urine. Different things happen. Sometimes certain things get absorbed at particular location. Even some things are actually getting secreted from this blood capillary to this tubule also. But that will be studied at the physiology of renal formation. So that's not a part of today's talk. Let me give more clear diagram. So you can see this label. You can see this label here. You can take a screenshot of this diagram. So you can see here, this diagram you need to draw in your examination also. It's a part of nephron, juxta medullary nephron and its vascular supply along with its vascular supply. So what is called that? You can see here these two labeling. The red color, this red color structure is your artery. And whenever you see the blue color, it is the vein part. Now you need to understand what do we mean by artery, what do we mean by vein. When the journey is starting from heart to organ, we say it's an artery, and from vein, organ to heart, we say it's a vein. But what actually happened at the organ level? Actually, your artery and vein are also in contact with one another. You see here, very clear. This much portion is artery and it is from here, it is vein. Ultimately, artery, it's ramified into very, very minute blood capillary, and this blood capillary and their reverse journey, that is toward the heart, they will be labeled as vein. As they produce deoxygenated blood, they are moving toward the heart, and heart will then again pump it into lung for the purification. So this blue color structure is representing vein, red color artery, but ultimately you can see here at this junction, this is the artery and vein are merging. So from here, this is the blood capillary. It is up to here, it's arterial portion. From here, it becomes the vein. So this capillary portion is what is a blood capillary. So each organ it is there. Artery and vein in each organ actually ultimately unite as in form of blood capillary, and then in reverse journey it is labeled as the vein. So at the you can imagine the structure. You need to understand such a 1 million. The one structure you are actually seeing here, but you need to imagine that around 1 million such structures are there. I am not showing other blood capillary, other major artery of the kidney. But what happens when kidney receives its blood supply from the renal artery and drained out, carried out by the renal vein. Artery after entering the kidney sends out many its branches that we are not going that detail in medical book. You are also going to see that, but that is not part of our talk. So what happens ultimately at nephron level? Many nephron level, this branch comes that is called the corticomedullary junction. Oh, this is the sorry, acute artery. This acute artery sends many of its branch to many nephron. Say for example, this one branch is sent this nephron, another branch may be passing to another nephron, this branch may be passing to another nephron, so on. So you can see here acute artery sending its branch to the nephron, and at this junction when it is entering inside the Bowman capsule, it is said afferent arteriole. It is the entry point, acute artery. Ultimately, renal artery at the nephron level, the more ramification is there. Ultimately, at nephron level, there is acute artery. Acute artery enters into a glomerular capsule as an afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole, it passes, it enters as an afferent arteriole, ramifying, making tuft of capillary and coming out. When it comes out, it labeled as efferent arteriole. Entry point, afferent arteriole, coming out, efferent arteriole. You notice another feature. The diameter of afferent arteriole is bigger compared to the diameter of this efferent arteriole. It has this variation has one very important physiological role that we will talk about at the time of formation of urine. Then this efferent arteriole also remain parallel to the loop of Henle. It also sends some transverse branch. And same way, we have another acute vein. So acute vein is here. Now you can see this vein. Now this vein has also certain branch. So you can say acute vein, branch of the acute vein, and this branch of this what do you call acute artery ultimately unite this way and remain parallel with this loop of Henle, and we are called vasa recta. So these are called this U-shaped blood capillaries and their horizontal branching together is called vasa recta. It has one important physiological role when we study about the counter current mechanism or different part of urine formation. We will talk about that in detail. What is the role of vasa recta? But you can see it. This actually highly vascular structure supplied with the blood. So this is sort of ramification is there. You can also see here another. So then these vein, these branches. So for example, it's acute artery, it's acute vein. यहाँ पे इसका एनालॉगस क्या हो गया? इसका एनालॉगस है इंटर देन उनके छोटे ब्रांच को क्या नाम दिया? इंटरलोब्युलर आर्टरी. इनके ब्रांच को नाम दिया इंटरलोब्युलर वेन. ये देखिए यहाँ पे वेन है वो इंटरलोब्युलर वेन है. ये छोटे छोटे पतले जो ब्रांच है वो इंटरलोब्युलर वेन है, और ये सॉरी ये ब्लू है वो इंटरलोब्युलर वेन है, और रेड कलर है वो इंटरलोब्युलर आर्टरी है. तो ये सारे ब्रांचिंग आपको समझ में आ गए होंगे. These part remain in the cortex, renal cortex, and this portion remain into the renal medulla. The name is juxtamedullary nephron. Let's come to the nephron part. So again, as I said earlier, This is the Bowman capsule or glomerular capsule. Within glomerular capsule encompasses what? It has got tuft of capillary that is called the glomerulus. So glomerulus, and this is the total. So what is called Bowman capsule and glomerulus both together is called the renal corpuscle. Renal corpuscle. So then the lumen of renal corpuscle continue in continuation with this PCT. Not shown here is a proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so it's a proximal convoluted tubule. If you want to see this label, proximal convoluted tubule, and these are called the peritubular capillary. These branches are called the peritubular. Since they are parallel to tubule, it's called the peritubular capillary. Bigger branch are called the uh, interlobular artery, interlobular vein, and then these are called the peritubular capillary. Okay, so let's again come to that main portion of the our talk, uh, uh, part of nephron. So this is called the proximal. You can see convolution, proximal convoluted tubule. Then it is called this. This is the loop of Henle. These are the loop of Henle. Since it's going down, when here the filtrate will go down, it is called a descending limb of loop of Henle, and then it take a U-turn and continue as an ascending limb of loop of Henle. If you notice, ascending limb of loop of Henle got two part: thin segment and thick segment, or thin ascending limb and thick ascending limb. This is a thin ascending limb. This is the thick ascending limb. It looks like that the lumen of this thin ascending limb would be narrower and thick ascending limb would be bigger, but that is not the fact. Actually, the lumen within this thick ascending limb and thin ascending limb is both the same. The difference is only in the thickness of this epithelium, and due to that different thickness, it is differentiated into thin ascending limb and thick ascending limb. Then this thick ascending limb again enters into the cortex, and then it continues as the DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Distal convoluted tubule. Distal convoluted tubule. Distal convoluted tubule of many nephron. Say, for example, this is another distal convoluted tubule from another nephron. This is the part of distal convoluted tubule from other nephron. Another nephron distal convoluted tubule. So many distal convoluted tubule unite to form collecting duct. Collecting duct, many collecting ducts such way unite to form papillary duct. Papillary duct enters into the minor calyx, and then you can have the urine. So this is the structure of the juxtamedullary nephron. You can see here, this is the same diagram. It's a clear-cut labeling is there. So this is a one diagram. This is the same diagram. Now, you can see here, you see here, this nephron is different. This is the cortical nephron. Fundamental things are same, but we will restrict our talk to with the only one nephron, so you don't have too many variation. But you still notice the one major difference is here, is that this much portion, very small portion of the nephron. These are also in other terminology for them is a short nephron, and for juxtamedullary nephron is a long nephron. The thing between two is one thing is very common. Both these portion, Bowman capsule, PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, DCT, distal convoluted tubule, all these structure, whether this is a cortical nephron or juxtamedullary nephron, these structure always remain into this cortex part. In case of juxtamedullary nephron, this much portion. In case of juxtamedullary nephron, the part of loop of Henle is very long. You can see here. But in case of cortical nephron, the part of loop of Henle that reside into the medulla is very short. Since it has got short nephron, since it has short loop of Henle, it is also called the short nephron. Okay. So we will restrict our talk to the juxtamedullary nephron, but there is not so much difference. Okay. If I ask to draw the diagram on the blackboard, the diagram would be like this way. So this is a diagram that is actually drawn on the board. You can see here, it is the glomerular capsule, renal capsule, then PCT, then this is loop of Henle, then DCT. Okay, or these are the blood supply. So same thing, collecting duct, many collecting unite to form papillary duct. Then you have minor calyx into urine, and then it is a urine. You can say. So same thing from the board. So you need to draw such a diagram in your book also. It will be your homework too to draw this diagram. So you can have draw this diagram. You can draw this diagram. I will ask you to draw this diagram. Okay. Now let's study each and everything step by step. So let's start our talk with the parts of nephron. So I have briefed about you. I have actually talked about each part of the nephron, but for better understanding, we also go with the description. So the topic will be very firm in your mind. So what are the nephron? You just go to the slide for a second, for a 30-second, I'm taking pause. You go with the slide. So you see here, nephrons are the functional unit of the kidney. They are, okay. So parts of a nephron. So nephron are the functional unit of the kidney. Each nephron consists of two parts, a renal corpuscle. Renal corpuscle का उसका मतलब ये होता है tiny body where the blood plasma is filtered. So initial portion of the cup-like portion is called the renal corpuscle where the blood plasma is filtered and a renal tubule into which the filtered fluid pass. तो जो कप होता है उसमें से ही फिल्टर फ्लूइड पास कहाँ पे होता है, वो होता है यहाँ, जो फ्लूइड ये एक्चुअली कैपिलरी में से एंटर होता है यहाँ पे, ठीक है, कैप्सूल में से. सो वेयर द ब्लड प्लाज्मा इज फिल्टर्ड एंड रिनल ट्यूब्यूल इनटू व्हिच एक होता है ये ग्लोमेरुलस और दूसरा जो पूरा जो आपका लॉन्ग पार्ट है पीसीडी लूप ऑफ हेनले उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे, रिनल ट्यूब्यूल. सो वेयर ब्लड प्लाज्मा इज फिल्टर्ड एंड रिनल ट्यूब्यूल इनटू व्हिच द फिल्टर फ्लूइड passes. Closely associated with nephron is its blood supply, जिसके में बात कर चुके हैं. The two components of a renal corpuscle are the glomerulus and the glomerular capsule or Bowman capsule. तो कई renal capsule की बात करें तो उसकी दो चीजें हैं, उसमें दो पार्ट हैं. One is उसका जो बाउंड्री है वो उसका नाम है glomerular capsule and what it encloses inside is a tuft of capillary and that tuft of capillary is called the glomerular capillary. The glomerular capillaries and glomerular capsule together is called Bowman capsule or Bowman capsule. Glomerular capsule and the glomerular capillary together is called renal renal corpuscle. Together is called renal corpuscle. ये इसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं. ये जो है रीनल कॉर्पस्कल किस चीज का बना हुआ है, ग्लोमेरुलर कैप्सूल का. जो कैप्सूल पार्ट है उसको हमने क्या नाम दिए, उसके दो नाम है, क्या तो उसका ग्लोमेरुलर कैप्सूल का हो या बाउमैन कैप्सूल का हो, और उसके अंदर जो टफ्ट ऑफ कैपिलरी उसका नाम है ग्लोमेरुलस. तो ग्लोमेरुलस अलोंग विथ ग्लोमेरुलर कैप्सूल इज कॉल्ड रीनल कॉर्पस्कल. तो वही चीज यहाँ पे लिखी है जो हम ऑलरेडी बता चुके हैं. Blood plasma is filtered in the glomerular capsule and then it is the filtered fluid passes to renal tubule which has renal tubule. Now the renal tubule has got three main sections. कौन से हैं आपको पता है? Yes, they are PCT, loop of Henle, nephron loop and DCT. PCT, loop of Henle and DCT. PCT proximal denotes the part of tubule attached to the glomerular capsule. PCT मतलब किसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ये कहा गया है, क्योंकि वो नजदीक में किसके हैं, ग्लोमेरुलर कैप्सूल के. DCT क्यों है, क्योंकि वो बहुत अवे है ग्लोमेरुलस से. And distal denote the part of that is further away from the glomerulus. Convoluted क्यों कहा गया है? Convoluted means tube is tightly coiled rather than straight. That's why it's called convoluted. The renal corpuscle and both the corpuscle lie within the renal cortex. बार बार मैं बोल चुका हूँ, फिर से बता रहा हूँ, ये कहाँ पे होता है? Renal cortex में. The nephron loop extends deep into the renal medulla, make a hairpin turn, and then again return to the renal cortex. नेफ्रॉन का लूप है, अंदर मेडुला में गया, हेयरपिन टर्न लिया, फिर से ऊपर उठा, कॉर्टेक्स में आया. तो इनकी जर्नी है. देन डीसीटी, distal cortibule of the seven nephron, empties into a single collecting duct. Collecting duct then unite and converge into several hundred large papillary ducts. Many papillary ducts drain into minor calyces. The collecting duct and papillary duct extend from the renal cortex to renal medulla to the renal pelvis. ये आपने किडनी के स्ट्रक्चर में हमने देख चुके हैं ये. So one kidney has about 1 million nephron, of course, but fewer number of the collecting duct. क्यों? क्योंकि बहुत सारे DCT एक ही collecting duct में खुल रहे हैं और बहुत सारे collecting duct मिलके बहुत पेपिलरी duct बना रहे हैं. तो जैसे जैसे आगे जाएंगे नंबर कम होते जा रहे हैं. Okay, so we shall continue our session in our talk in next session also. So here I end this first session of this nephron part. Thank you very much.